This is the MeatEater podcast coming at you shirtless, severely bug-bitten, and in my case, underwearless.
We hunt the MeatEater podcast.
You can't predict anything.
The MeatEater podcast is brought to you by First Light. Whether you're checking trail cams, hanging deer stands, or scouting for elk, First Light has performance apparel to support every hunter in every environment. Check it out at firstlight.com. FIRSTLITE.com. All right, joined today by, I don't want anyone to take offense by this. Not you guys. Other people will be offended. This is the greatest collection of my favorite people to ever be on the show. The highest aggregation of my favorite people to ever be here.
It's high honor.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Pressure's on now.
Yeah.
Keep that status.
I'm gonna run around how. So we're at our fish shack in Alaska. Jamie Fitzgerald is here. Jamie, I'm gonna talk about how I know you guys.
Yep.
When in 1990, lean back a little bit, Seth, so people can see Fitz there. In 1990, trying to think, I did 2 years at community college.
Mm-hmm.
I did a semester at Lake State, and then I think it would have been winter of
95?
somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Winter of 95, I moved down to Grand Rapids, Michigan, bounced around a little bit, and then landed in a house with you two and some other people. It was such a house that turnover was so high there that none of the people that lived there, I remember someone realizing that no one that lived there was on the lease. Like other people, other forgotten individuals had signed the lease, and it was, or maybe Schmitty was on the lease.
Yeah. Schmitty was on the lease, but he was in Washington at that point by the time you got here. And
that's how I met Fitzgerald and Andrew Radzialowski. Jamie Fitzgerald and Andrew Radzialowski. How many years ago was that?
I was thinking about this, almost 30 years.
Yeah, coming up on 30.
One of my favorite sentences. Have I told you the sentence? Probably the best sentence I ever heard was said in that house. Our other roommate, who's not with us, Mark Schmidt, was from Sheboygan, Wisconsin. And he really liked Sheboygan brats. Okay. He would periodically, from his mother, get a box of brats.
Big box. Andy
would boil those brats in, I think, beer,
onions, and butter.
Butter. Okay. He'd boil these brats in beer, onions, and butter. He was in culinary arts school.
That's 101. That was the first week.
Yeah, he was in culinary arts school. So he knew this trick. Okay. And the leftovers, I'm leading up to where the sentence came from. The leftovers would go into the fridge, and the butter would solidify on the roof, on the top. You'd get like half inch of butter, form a rock hard layer, and under that would be beer and brats. Hold that in mind, okay? We were talking about, those are in the fridge, and we're having a conversation about ice fishing in the middle of the night. And Andy then says my favorite sentence I've ever heard. In reference to in the pot in the fridge, he says, if you want to talk about late night ice fishing, why don't you go auger a hole through that butter and pull out one of them lunkers?
And we did.
Oh, that's great.
Trophy brats.
Yeah.
That was one of my best sentences ever. Seth's always on the show. You know him.
Yep.
My brother Danny's on the show. And to set the scene here, what year was it that we bought this place?
06.
Okay. And then explain to people how you came out to the island.
Yeah, I was working for the University of Alaska at the time, and we were starting a new project in Southeast where we were doing some water quality mining or water quality monitoring, mostly related to like timber harvest and mining and that sort of thing. And we had a few meetings in different villages, just letting people know what we were all about, what we were doing down here. And when we went to Kasan, the village kind of threw a little get together and invited folks to come meet us. And Ron Layton showed up with a bunch of shrimp.
He's been on the show. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was very interested in what we were working on and wanted to get involved and help out. So he invited us to come base out of his house here in Saltry Cove for a while we're doing some of the work, and offered to motor us around in his boat, And
you guys were going into streams sampling invertebrates.
Yeah, yep. It was some water quality measurements, some stream habitat measurements, some invertebrate sampling, and we worked on, Dan Bogan and I worked on that project for a number of years all over. We traveled all over Southeast Alaska. It was a pretty neat project, taking the ferry around and chartering airplanes, and really got to see the lay of the land quite a bit. And the first year, Ron invited us down for the first year of the project, and then this is before I really knew him. We got in some argument over the phone, and I'm not used to getting in arguments with like grown men, And I can't even remember what we were arguing about. And things got real testy, and like he hung up the phone on me, and I didn't really know what to make of it. And we just didn't go, We didn't come to the Cove that first year. I think that was probably like 2003 or 2002.
Because of the argument?
Yeah.
I never heard the story.
Oh, yeah. I just like, wow, that's not going to work out. Like that guy is fucking crazy.
And you didn't at the time realize that he was just crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So, but he calls me up like the next year in the springtime. He's like, hey, you guys coming down this year? Like nothing had happened, So like, okay, let's try it again, And we showed up, and he did everything he said he was going to do, and hung out with him and Joan. Absolutely delightful people. He took us all over the places we needed to go, and then in the evenings we were running shrimp pots and fishing halibut. And I'd never even caught a halibut before. Yeah, we'd anchored outside the Cove, and the first halibut I ever caught was with Ron and this. Oh, actually, no. The first halibut I ever caught was that time you came, Steve, which was maybe 2 years later. That must have been like 04 or 05.
Yep.
And Ron anchored up and got me into a 170-pound halibut. Wow. That was the first one I ever caught.
To this day, that's the biggest halibut I've seen come up on a rod and reel.
Okay.
Here,
Yeah. We based out of here for work for a couple years, and then Ron just kept inviting me back to fish and run pots, for a week at a time every summer. And him and Joan would say, "Oh, come for 2 weeks next year," And well, you came down with me that one year, Steve, and then after just staying at Ron and Jones for a couple years, just fishing, after that project was over, at one point he called and said, "Hey, that jack's for sale next door. You guys should think about buying it." The rest is history.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt Drost, who's we've known each other for a million years. So we went to the same junior high and high school.
Mm-hmm. Matt and I met in sixth grade camp.
Yeah,
we were in the same cabin.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Was that was at Pendaluan?
Camp Pendaluan. Yeah, we were. I think we shared the bunk beds.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It's because they put you at random people because you went different elementaries. All went to that camp, and we just got paired up. And that's the first time, Dan and I met. So that would have been sixth grade.
Well, a year later, he was working there.
Yeah.
Such a memorable experience for me to relive it.
So we grew up together in West Michigan. And, in addition to all the normal stuff every high school kids do, like shooting bottle rockets at each other and going out whooping it up and hanging out with friends, we did a ton of very generalist outdoor pursuits.
Everything.
If you had to make a list of all the things that we did, it'd be endless. I mean, we're riding around squirrel hunting and, on up to squid jigging in Seattle. We kind of ran the gamut.
Yep.
A lot of smelt dipping.
Smelt dipping.
Yeah.
Fishing the channel walls for smallmouth, stream fish and trout.
Taking our prom dates to go smelt dipping.
Yep. Bust and brush.
Set out for dinner.
Bust and brush for cottontail rabbits.
Oh, yeah.
Hunting morels a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
Tons of bluegill fishing. Northern pike fishing through the ice.
Yep.
Whitefish spearing through the ice.
Oh, yeah. Whitefish fishing at the power plant.
River steelhead fishing.
Yeah.
I could go on.
Yeah.
A deep, long list of activities. And then you've been coming here for how long?
I might have been here the first or second year. Was the first time I was here, and then there was a.
You were here for my bachelor party.
I think so.
Yeah. I know you were.
Yeah. And then a couple times there, but I've been coming back here consistently since 2016.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Fitzgerald, you said the other day, you've been here how many times?
I think this is my 15th time here. It's 14th or 15th.
Fitz said the other day he's been to Alaska 15 times, but he's only been here. Never been anywhere else in Alaska.
What else is there? Yeah.
And then, Andy, you were introduced by way of your bratwurst recipe.
Yeah.
So Fitz and I were going to just regular Joe Blow college, and you were in culinary arts at the time.
But I did a couple years at Grand Valley as well.
Oh, you did some regular college too?
Yep.
And
then right at that whole junction when you moved in, that was when I transferred over to the culinary program downtown. And that house was quite the scene.
Oh, it was the scene. And you were making when you took pastry class. I think that was you. Was it you in pastry 1 or pastry 2? And so you'd bring all the pastries home.
Oh, you might be thinking Mark was working at a bakery / deli that he would bring a bunch of stuff.
Oh,
home.
is that what that was? Oh, okay, yeah.
There was always a fridge full of food for a bunch
Yep.
of broke college kids. We were doing all right. But I remember coming home from class and there'd be a couple big old salmon from the river in the or was it
Steelhead?
Steelhead from the Grand River.
Yep. Steelhead.
Tell people about what you went on to do for your career, which is interesting. You landed out in the San Juan Islands eventually.
After we left Michigan, kind of filtered my way out to the West Coast and out to small island, San Juan Island out in northwest Washington, north of Seattle there. And kind of kicked around, worked for the parks for a few years, which was a pretty fun job. But
You were a lighthouse keeper.
Yep. But then for the last 16 years, I've been working for the school district on the island, which is a small community. I mean, the whole district K through 12 is under 1,000 kids all the way through. But yeah, I built a food program there, kind of from the ground up, and it's kind of progressive. Everything's from scratch. I source as much local product as I can, and then kind of go out from there. And I've got great people working for me and find really cool grants to bring in a lot of fresh produce from Washington and Oregon and the surrounding areas. And
when you came in, they were going to scrap their lunch program.
Yep, it was failing because they were just doing the standard garbage, food, and just didn't have the participation to make it sustainable. So somebody got a hold of a little bit of grant money, and my name got thrown in the ring. I had no idea. I mean, I'd never set foot in the school before, and that first year was a lot of trial and error, and I put a lot of hours in, but I kind of got the ship righted and kind of stuck with it, and built a pretty successful program over the years.
And how many kids you guys feed every day?
Between breakfast and lunch, about 500 plus.
So Andy was explaining to my kids this morning, when you guys do pizza, will kids help cook?
Yeah, so I have 5 classes. The way we set it up, that's another unique piece of the program that we have, is the fact that I have like a work-based learning internship, and that was kind of out of the early years. There was very few electives in the district. There was the standard art and this and that, and we just had some kids that just had no place, to land. They weren't doing very good in the classroom. And some of the counselors kind of approached me and they said, "Hey, I've got these kids, a couple of them that are just lost." I said, "Send them my way," and I put knives in their hands. Yeah, great idea. Here's a real sharp knife, kid. And it kind of took, and from that we introduced an actual class, and so I've got 5 classes full of kids that it's set up as a work-based learning internship, so they get credit for basically coming in and work. It's like I treat it like they've left the building and come into a job. So each class kind of knows its role, and through the course of the morning, each class kind of has a different role. But they know, they come in, they set up the station with a cutting board and knife, and there's a big touch screen board that they hit the list every morning. I read a fresh list every morning, and they start knocking things down, and they're slicing, dicing, they're cleaning, they're doing all kind of stuff. Whatever I come in, and they come in, I just start barking at them, and so it's
and like prepare the lunch.
Yeah,
for the school.
They help. They have help.
Do you make them call you chef?
Oh yeah. They call me chef for sure.
Good. And when you guys do pizza day, you guys are making dough from scratch and rolling out pizza crusts.
Oh yeah,
for 500 or for hundreds of people.
Yeah.
And when you guys make mac and cheese, tell me give people just to get a sense. Tell people how you make mac and cheese.
Well, I make the sauce from scratch, so that's about anywhere between 12 to 15 pounds of butter, 12 to 15 pounds of flour, about 15 gallons of milk, and then about 30 to 35 pounds of dried pasta, 30, 40 pounds of shredded cheese. But everything, that's it, and that's all that's in it.
Just make mac and cheese.
Yeah.
It's the coolest thing in the world, man.
It's a lot. And with a lot of these kids, it's not, a lot of them aren't necessarily going into the hospitality industry, but it's, for a lot of the kids, I only deal with high school kids. But for some of the younger ones, 9th, 10th grade, they've never had a job before. They don't know, any kind of structure as far as the workforce goes. So it's kind of their first taste of, this is what it means to have a job, and this is what it means to have people rely on you every day, because when they don't show up, then I've got to do double the work, or the other students in the class have to do. So I treat it as, you're on your way to the workforce. This is what it means, no matter if you're in hospitality or if you're in accounting or if you're whatever you decide to go do. This is what it means to be accountable and have a job, and get your head together and
have
be
you had
present
some have you had
every
some
day
kids going to culinary arts?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've said kids all over the place. The Art Institute in Seattle has a great program. I've sent quite a few kids down there. I've sent one kid, the original kid that started the whole program, because he was just a wreck. He ended up going all the way over to the New England Culinary Institute, NECI, yeah.
Seriously?
Yep.
That's cool.
And then went down and did an internship down in New Orleans and came back and started a family on the island, the whole works, yeah. This is one of my success stories for old Rowan. Yeah.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I passed up Matt. Matt, you teach high school.
Yeah, Andy and I have shared a lot of stories about this kind of stuff, and I can't, not to make this an education podcast, but yeah, it's just amazing if you can get them in that right situation, because I've had the same, not as pronounced as that, but running a greenhouse and a garden and an aquaponics facility and getting kids those jobs, and just seeing kids that are kind of lost in what would be traditional and finding something new for them to do is it's unbelievably rewarding, and it's cool to see it happen.
And it transfers over. I've had so many kids that just didn't want to be at school, and then all of a sudden they want to come to be in the kitchen, and then they're there for the day, and the teachers come down, what are you doing down there? Because all of a sudden so and so's here every day, and they're actually kind of participating. So it's it transfers down the line. I think
I've had kids that
you say excited about stuff.
You say you're kind of a wreck, being in the back of the classroom just eating raw lettuce, thinking this is the best lettuce I've ever had. Because you grew it.
Yeah.
We've plugged it a couple times to tell people about your business, your side hustle.
Oh, the summertime side hustle is a mobile bar in northern Michigan called Roman Nomi. The Nomi is northern Michigan, kind of a shortened version of that. And we my wife and I and another couple run it, and we do a mobile bar. Usually it's weddings, and other events. We've done everything from baby showers to graduation parties. But yeah, it's kind of I think it was a bartending service, but we show up with this cool renovated 1969 trailer we turned into kind of a speakeasy looking vibe. And so we meet with the client, they decide what they want, and we make the order for them. We'll pick it up, and then come to their event ready to go. So it's a fun side hustle in the summertime.
Takes care of all that. You make specialty cocktails.
Oh yeah, we meet with the client and design the cocktail they want, and yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. Everybody's happy.
And you and your wife man it.
Yeah, and another couple, but everybody's happy to see you when you show up. You know, you're one of those. Everybody's happy to see the bar roll in. Yeah.
Nice. Matt Drost is good at a party too. So.
Yeah, I found my niche.
Teacher by day,
That's right.
party guy by day.
I got to do a couple quick things. One, I got to run one by you. We get people that write in ethics questions. Okay. Oh, first, Danny, you're going to speak to this because you know about fisheries. There's a couple listener emails we got to take care of. We recently had on people from Colossal Bioscience on about cloning, the sort of technical challenges and moral challenges of cloning woolly mammoths. And on that show, Callahan got to, on that episode, Ryan Callahan got to talk about what is with all the new work in genetics, what might be done about invasives. And a fisheries guy wrote in talking about this work to remove non-native brook trout in the western U.S. Are you familiar with this? I'll tell you more.
YY super male.
Yeah, explain
stuff.
that. Explain that in layman's terms.
Genetics and invasives neither of those are my area of expertise, but the gist of it is, I think if you were trying to eliminate invasive brook trout population, you would somehow coax a hatchery broodstock to produce homozygous male brook trout, right? That then you swamp the system with these YY brook trout, and so the male determines the sex, right? So every offspring they're going to have is going to be male, and so you're just eliminating females from the population. It's kind of how it works. But I mean, I've never been involved with that sort of work. I don't really know the details of it, but that's the gist of it.
So hay spur, here's in technical terminology. Hay spur fish hatchery just south of Haley, Idaho. The staff spawns genotypic YY chromosome males with genotypic YY chromosome females. Their offspring are 100% YY chromosome males. You then stock them. They spawn with wild female brook trout and spin off 100% males that also have that same YY. Or YY being male, right?
Mm-hmm.
After several years, the entire stream population becomes male.
Or XY being male too. So if you have wild type females, they're gonna have XY sex chromosomes, right? So you would have some YY males and some XY males, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He says, yeah, their offspring
they're
will then be
male.
Their offspring will then be 100% male.
Yeah.
Because each offspring will consist of one X chromosome from the mother and one Y chromosome from the stocked super male. Eventually, they're all males.
Yeah, the males aren't giving up
it.
any X's to make XX females, right? So, yeah.
Does it stand to reason that you'd want to be fishing that spot? Would those males all get real big, or that doesn't matter?
Oh, you're thinking of
that right before the crash, it'd be great brook trout fishing.
You know what you're thinking? Remember when the state of Michigan was stocking
super salmon?
Yeah. That's what you're thinking of. So the idea there, because they only spawn once, right? So the thinking there was that these fish are never going to spawn and die. They're just going to keep growing indefinitely. that wouldn't apply to a fish that spawns over and over again like a brook trout. It wouldn't interfere with her. Yeah.
Do you remember being kids and they would have the salmon derbies?
Yeah.
And they would go out and tag. They'd catch one salmon and tag it, and it was like $1 million.
$1 million.
It was like $1 million fish, and just everybody'd go fishing thinking they're going to catch that sumbitch over again and get all that money.
Yeah.
But you didn't know where in the lake it was. Okay, here. Are you guys ready for the here's one. No, there's no thing to say here, but we were recently celebrating small town outdoor columnists. Who was ours growing up?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh shit!
Because we're talking
about the Chronicle
had Mark
one.
something.
Yeah.
Our friend Pat Durkin, he's sort of the last of the dying breed of small town outdoor columnists. And the guy wrote in to have a real gripe. He's got a real bone to pick with small town outdoor columnists. Because he says that his childhood swimming and fishing spot actually got blown up by an outdoor columnist. They were in a place under a bridge. They always assumed they weren't supposed to be there. They'd swim there and catch a lot of nice brookies. One day a guy shows up and they assume he's there to yell at him. But it turns out he's some kind of journalist. Interviews all the kids there. Takes a picture of their big stringer of brookies. Runs a piece about how cute it is. Mm-hmm. That these kids have this fishing hole under said such and such bridge. And he goes back there and it's full of people.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy spot to find.
And he never forgave his small town outdoor columnist.
What state was that in?
Pennsylvania. Is it? So hold on a minute. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, no. Sorry. Washington, D.C. suburbs.
Huh.
Rural area in Virginia, which has been consumed. Sorry. Rural Virginia, which is since he was a kid, it's been overtaken by D.C. suburbs and exurbs, which is a phrase that I don't think anyone's ever said in this show. Here's the moral one. You ready? This guy lives in a neighborhood. The neighborhood has no HOA. All right. Even though there's no HOA, his wife is the neighborhood president. I don't know what that means. He had 7 chickens.
Self-appointed?
I don't know. Unless when he said, we live in a neighborhood with no HOA, he meant to say we live in a neighborhood with an HOA. Because then he says, my wife is actually the president.
That makes more
of the
sense.
U.S. Is it Kamala Harris? Is this from the future? It's Kamala Harris. The pollsters were wrong. So he's got 7 chickens. All get killed. Okay. Puts out a trail cam. It's a fox. He gets himself he's calling it a humane trap, meaning he's got a live trap. Captures the fox. In his mind, it's the thing to do now is to kill the fox. His wife and daughter have none of it. He drives the fox 5 miles down the road and lets it loose against his better judgment. The neighborhood is now in uproar because it turns out they all like that fox. He's got a couple questions. Is the thing going to turn up back here anyway?
Yes. Probably.
5 miles.
Yeah.
And who's right? People that want to see a fox or people that want to have chickens? I think it's coming right back.
Oh, it's coming right back. Sure. I can't. He ain't going to get it to go in that trap the second time. I'm surprised. I'm really surprised he got to go in that trap the first time. He's probably used to eating people's dog food and stuff.
He was surprised. He bathed it with tuna fish.
Okay. Yeah.
He was surprised he got out of the trap.
Yeah.
5 miles is not.
No, that's not going to do it.
Yeah. When I worked for the parks, we had a problem fox out there that was to the point where it was getting in everything. It actually even pulled a bottle out of a baby stroller. It was that aggressive.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And we captured that thing. We just threw a blanket over it and threw it in a garbage can and drove it 13 miles to the south end of the island. And that thing was back the next day.
No.
Yep.
Beat you guys home.
Yeah. Honest to God, he was right back. I mean, because it was very distinct. He knew where it was at. You know.
Oh, we used to have a dog that our dad tried to give away a few times and would always come back.
You know what we named that dog? You remember that dog's name?
No.
Kayla.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It was some like word for leader. And the dog liked to play fetch. I don't know if you remember these details. That dog liked to play fetch so much, it would get green tomatoes out of the garden. It was like a never-ending supply of balls, which my dad hated it.
Well, part of the reason we wanted to get rid of it is because it ate the ripe tomatoes.
Just destroyed tomatoes.
Yeah.
If I remember this right, he wound up bringing it. Like, you know when your dad normally brings a dog to a farm, that means he killed it. And that happened with other pets, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
But he brought it to a farm, literally.
Oh, yeah.
And if I remember right, we were eating dinner one night, and all of a sudden, there's that dog comes by with a tomato in his mouth. If I remember right, and that's some bitch, a Kayla, the leader, had come home.
Well, getting back to that fox, that fellow can tell his neighbors not to worry. They haven't seen the last of that fox.
But he should tell his other chickens to worry. He might just want to give himself a chicken hut.
Yeah.
But what he said he likes having him run around because it makes him feel like he lives on a farm. And he also mentioned that they spend a lot of time in his neighbor's yard. This might be a bad neighbor.
Yeah. Nothing more farmy than a fox getting your chicken, so.
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah.
He was baiting with tuna fish, so here's the thing that guy wrote in. This guy says, "Hey guys, came across your podcast, started at episode 1, and I've worked my way up to episode 294.
Whoa.
Damn.
And wherever he's at right now, we were spending a lot of time on skunk essence, covering skunk essence. He's talking about a guy. Oh, I know what we're talking about. A couple people wrote in where they've used. I was saying one day that if I really wanted to get someone, remember me and Seth, we were trying to harvest skunk essence from skunks.
Yeah.
I was saying if I really wanted to get someone, I would take that syringe. We were harvesting it with a syringe, and I would just reach into their car and inject their upholstery.
Oh my God!
Right?
Yeah,
You'd never find
that would
it.
total the vehicle.
You'd never find it. You'd never find the culprit. You'd never realize what I had done. So he's listening to this. There's a guy he knows that went through this really bad divorce. Loses the house to the wife. Loses his house to his wife. Pulled out all the receptacles, electrical receptacles in the house, the junction boxes, and put open cans of tuna in the holes and then sealed them back up.
Oh, jeez.
So, all the best, Monty.
I'm dying to know what happened.
Nothing more than that.
Monty should write back in with the
follow up.
Follow up on that.
Yeah.
Someone eventually tore out the drywall and found the rotten tuna.
Wonder if they got in trouble.
I'm guessing that the court would not look fondly on that. Which leads me to, and we're going to return to our current discussion. So MeatEater Radio live is live, meaning our live show is live every Thursday around 10 in the morning on our podcast network. It'll be later available on YouTube, but there's a live show that we're doing, co-anchored by a lot of your favorite guests. So Randall, Cal, Brody, Spencer, me, Yanni, different group each week. And we're doing, it'll be your picture of activities in the country. So the live show is field reports from hunters, anglers, biologists, weird people, whatever. A lot of funny segments and jokes. A live show of people calling in and reporting from their area what's going on. So you get a live snapshot of the oddest and funnest activities and whatnot, stories going on from around the country. It'd be like a news show. MeatEater Radio live is live. All right.
Check it out.
With all that said, I want to talk about what, like, you guys come here every year. Fitz, you've been here how many years?
15.
Okay. Lay out for me how you come home with some fish. We call it a cut.
Mm-hmm.
You get a cut. We should talk about that first.
Mm-hmm.
We fish. We're like communists.
It's cold. It's rainy.
It's cold. It's rainy. There's vodka on the shelf. We're like communists where all the activities we engage in, everything gets pooled. Collectivized. Meaning even if you're on a work detail, if you got to work, like if let's say for some day you had to do your normal job for a day, like catch up on emails, or you were like fixing something that broke, or you like had to go get gas, you had to make the dock so it wasn't a death trap and put some tar paper down, whatever, so people can get a grip on a wet wooden slimy dock. That doesn't pull you out. And different activities could be like doing shellfish, going for shellfish. It could be different kind of fishing things, whatever. And everything gets pulled into a freezer. And then on breakup day, everything is categorized. There's now a suitcase that holds the piece of paper. What's the suitcase say on it?
Official record of catch.
Yeah, official record of catch. It's in a briefcase. And there's a tally made. And the tally would be how many ever packages of whatever, and it gets divided out. And the way we kind of do it is adult angler. We haven't rolled kids. Kids don't get their own catch. Kids take goes into the adult angler take. The adult angler take is called a cut. And so that's how we divide out. How do you walk me through your we'll just go around the table here. We're going to skip Seth because he's a newcomer to the Cove. And instead of answering this question, Seth is going to give us an update on the A-frame, which has had a dramatic recovery.
Looking good in there.
Yeah.
Ongoing.
Dramatic
Recovering
recovery.
right now as we speak.
In recovery.
Yeah.
What's your take? Like, what are the things you like to make with your cut? Like, how do you think of your cut? Do you give it all away? Do you slowly eat it? What do you do?
We usually so it's just me and my wife. We don't have any kids. So we'll usually kind of stretch it out over the year. Usually host people, cook for folks, but a lot of it becomes kind of just like a protein staple in our house because my wife doesn't eat meat, as you know.
Red meat. She eats fish. And so we kind of stretch it out really through the year. So the moose meat I gave you, she's not eating that. That's your own private stash.
I'm working my way through that 50 pounds.
Yep.
And
that's your own private stash.
Yep.
What the fish she's into.
And it's made me a better cook in the kitchen.
Mm.
You know, I mean, it helps being buddies with all you guys, but it's made me I'm more creative than I used to be.
What are some of the staples?
Well, some of the things that I try to emulate out of here, I've done some of that seafood curry.
Have you done the cod enchiladas?
I have not. I have done the seafood enchilada. Yep. What I want this year, I want to dial in my chowder game, my seafood chowder game.
Yep.
Because I haven't really dabbled too much in that. So yeah, we just kind of stretch it out, but also like a lot of hosting. I mean, people love it when you cook a bunch of halibut that you caught or a part of catching for them, right? There's just a certain charm in that people just really love.
Mm.
So that's how we do it.
What's your highlight from this year?
Mechanically putting together that switch on the pot puller.
I need to explain this a little bit. We have a pot puller, and there's a junction box for the switch. And because it's a saltwater marine environment, they assemble the wiring.
Mm.
And then they inject that box with silicone.
Like fill it.
So when you open it up, you're looking into what looks like a bar of soap.
Yep.
And contained within that bar of soap, when you get all that picked out of there, is the junction.
Mm.
And then we redid it and repacked it.
And used
silicone.
And worked.
And it worked.
We're pulling pots yesterday.
Yeah, it worked great.
It worked. Yeah, so mechanically that, and then I guess fishing. Getting into the Pacific cod. The last couple of days. That's the hottest ocean fishing I've ever been a part of.
Yeah. I was going to touch on that because yesterday when Danny and I were out diving around, I was telling the boys about how a lot of the Plains tribes would have a thing called a year. They had their own word for it, a year count or something like that, and it would take a buffalo hide, and the band would mark the most notable things from any year. And I think if I'm not mistaken, they would do it in a concentric circle. And when you look at these annual counts, like you'll see smallpox epidemics. You'll also see so it'd be like a person with spots on them. Some of these annual counts have like, you'd be like, oh, this is like an early encounter with people that had firearms, early encounter with white people, and also just like kind of like weird things. Like I remember one of them was like a year that someone had, if I'm not mistaken, it was like a year that it seemed like a year that a bunch of buffalo got struck by lightning. Was like the year. That's what happened that year. And I was saying I wish from the start we had made one of those on a big halibut hide that would have been a count.
Yep.
Right. And if like the most notable thing every year, I think it'd be finding, like one year it would have been finding what turned into like a dramatic shrimp spot, a profound shrimp spot. This year I would perhaps put the death of that shrimp spot.
Yeah.
But I would probably this year, really what would win out in my mind this year was to be a cod, a big pea cod, because the year we bought this, we caught a giant. Remember that? We didn't know what the hell we were doing. One of the first things we caught was a huge, probably a 9-pound cod. I got a picture. You're all glassy eyed, standing by that old, not that sink, but the previous sink.
Yeah.
Holding that big ass cod in your mechanic suit.
Yeah.
And you'd get them, and then you just didn't.
Oh, they're gone.
I mean, gone for what, 8, 10 years?
10 years.
Yeah.
It was the 2014 marine heat wave. They just disappeared.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's like complete reproductive failure, and presumably a lot of the older ones died off because, there was, until last 9 years, until last year, most years we didn't catch a cod.
No,
you had 3 boats out there fishing every day, and we would catch not a cod.
Yep. And then it was 3 springs ago, started getting dinks.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there's fish moving and all that.
Sure.
But this year,
Man.
it's just like cod
galore. And they're not, they seem big compared to what we've caught the last couple of years, but they're not big cod yet.
No,
Yeah.
but they're keeper fish. But no, they're not like 10 pounders.
They're certainly worth filleting, but I mean they get bigger.
Like 3, 4, 5 pounds.
Yeah.
Gorging on krill and herring. So I think there's herring eating krill.
Yeah. Did you notice all that krill when we were diving yesterday? There's clouds of it.
Yep, I did see that. Yeah. Matt, you caught a herring.
Caught a herring on it.
And then later he caught a cod that regurgitated a herring.
Andy caught it.
Oh, you caught a cod that regurgitated a still live herring.
Yep.
But just a ton of cod. And like I was saying earlier, it's just interesting to get like such a snapshot, because we'll come and fish the same general area at the same general time over the course of a long time, and you see these things come in, things come out, and be like shrimp were fantastic, and right now shrimp just sucks, right? Crabs have highs and lows, but the cod thing has been is the watching the cod be here, be gone, be back makes the shrimp thing less depressing, because you picture, you like normally in psychologically I'd be like, oh, it's over, but you get a sense like probably something will happen, and all of a sudden it'll be great shrimping again, maybe.
And with those cod we're all catching, like they're various sizes. It's not like there's like one growth class that's taken over.
Yep.
We're catching small ones on up to
we've got them all like 10 inches up to like 28 inches, like big ones.
So it would seem that this would, barring anything happening, this would last for a while.
Yeah.
Seth told me yesterday that he's actually glad his house got hit by a large tree.
Yeah. Believe it or not.
Best thing ever happened to me.
Yeah, no, it just exposed all the problems that needed fixed.
Mm-hmm.
And if it didn't do that, we'd be kind of chipping away at that slowly forever. But
We were observing yesterday that Seth bought his A-frame at a very important point in time for that A-frame.
yes.
You know when you see a house that's just fallen down and it's just it's beyond repair.
Yep.
If you had waited a year, your A-frame would have become a non-saleable item.
Yeah, no, it just
especially when that tree fell on it.
Yeah.
Because he bought his A-frame, and then the porch, I bring this up all the time. The porch, how high is that porch off the ground? 13 feet? No.
Yeah.
Maybe 11, 12 feet off the ground.
Well, I was sitting there last night and I noticed how like our porch basically is like level with your roof over here.
And that porch one day actually fell off.
Yep. That was the first was the first phone call I got from you with bad news about the place.
Yeah.
There's been several.
Then a tree fell on it and just stoved it in.
Yeah.
And if you hadn't bought it, it would be, you'd look over there and be like, it'd just be another rotten building in Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
But you bought it just in time. It was like a heart attack victim. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And right when you hit him with those electrocutors, whatever you call them,
Zaps back to life.
That was your purchase.
Defibrillators?
Yeah, your purchase defibrillated that house.
Yep. Now we got him back on a good diet. He's doing all right.
Brand new porch.
Fix
the roof.
Front and back. Well, the first thing that happened after we bought the place, the porch fell off. Then we had our buddy Dustin replace pilings.
Mm.
And I think that's what really saved our ass when the tree hit the place.
Oh, because it would have just flattened.
Because it would just, the pilings that were under it, which there's still a bunch that need replaced, but like the main ones that were bad all got replaced, and they're sitting on these giant creosote pilings now.
No,
and that's what the porch is on too. So, but yeah, so we did that, and then the tree hit, and then we basically rebuilt. Our buddy Dustin Olson rebuilt, and some other guys. He had some other guys help, but front and back wall on the A-frame, replaced a bunch of all the joists that got smashed up when the tree hit. Fixed that, and then we had some skylights in there that were leaking. It's like never skylights leak in Montana where it's hot and dry. Why would you put them in a place in Southeast Alaska? But yeah, got those replaced, and then man,
when I went in when that tree fell, I was here.
Yeah.
I went up. Well, for starters, I was cutting through your lot, going up deer hunting.
Mm-hmm.
And I look, and I'm like, fuck, that don't look right.
I don't remember that there.
Yeah.
Why would Seth put a tree in his house?
And I'm like, I better look into that on the way home, So I went out and hunted for the morning and came back. I'm like, oh shit, that is what I was thinking it was,
Yeah.
I sent you that text, or maybe I sent Steve. I can't remember.
You sent it to me. Yeah.
But when I went up in there, you had that bed up in your loft.
Yeah.
Because you didn't see the tree when it was there. No,
I
got
never,
it out of there. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that. If somebody was in that bed, they would have been fine. But that fucking trunk, I mean, it was a big hemlock, right?
Yeah, big hemlock.
Diameter of that, I don't know, 2 feet in diameter, that trunk. It was about a foot off of that bed.
Really?
Yeah.
I asked Seth if it would have killed him if he was in bed. He said it would have woke me up.
Oh my God. I can't even imagine if you were being in that bed.
Oh, God.
Like, you couldn't have sat up.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have been touched.
You'd had to lay there until someone chainsawed it out of the way. Can you
Yeah.
at least bring me a coffee?
But yeah, no, my brother-in-law, Bob, who owns the place with us, he's over there right now putting up siding. So,
The cutest thing I think about it is that your dad likes coming up, so it's kind of like brings your family all nice and together.
yeah. My dad loves coming up here. It's all he talks about. Every time I talk to him on the phone, he's like, "Can't wait for Alaska." Literally, like
just like Fitz. This is Alaska.
Sounds like when he leaves here, or when we leave here, whatever, in a week or whatever. I guarantee you the next phone call he'll be like, "Can't wait for Alaska next year."
That's good.
But yeah, he loves it. But yeah, it's when we leave. By the time we leave, it's going to be a fully functional rebuilt cabin with siding and everything.
Nice.
So,
Congratulations.
thanks. Feels good.
Over the years, there's been a lot of people that talked about maybe buying that A-frame, and they would go in there, and that would usually end the conversation.
Yeah.
You were tougher than they were.
Yeah.
You were tougher. You had more vision and toughness.
Yep.
More toughness.
Yeah, it was something I didn't want to pass up.
No. Danny, you eat a hugely heavy seafood diet, and because you live in Alaska, you get a lot of different. This isn't your only seafood run, because you guys have all kinds of salmon.
Yeah, I fish a lot of salmon around home, and then I have a few friends with boats that I get out on the ocean waters up in South Central, out of Whittier, Homer, Valdez. So takes the pressure off.
Do you remember we used to like Cheech and Chong's next movie?
Yeah.
And somehow his cousin shows up. One of those guys' cousin shows up. Remember those army duffel bags?
Yeah.
His cousin shows up with those giant army duffel bags full of bud.
Yeah.
And someone asked him what he's going to do with it all. And he says he's going to smoke some, party with some, and sell some.
Give
And
some
we
to
used to
your friends.
joke that was... So whenever we caught a lot of fish, remember we'd say we're going to smoke some, party with some, and sell some. And the selling not so much in there, no, selling not at all, but anymore. But you definitely smoke some and party with some.
I thought it was smoke some, party with some, and give some to your friends.
Oh, is that what it was?
That's what it was.
That'd be better. That's what
Works
what it
better
should
for
be.
us.
Yeah,
Smoke
it's
some,
even better.
party with some, give some to your friends. What do you do with all your fish? You guys still dip net and stuff like that then?
Yeah. I'm kind of missing that right now between, being down here and just field work for my job and stuff. So, I don't have a salmon plan this year. I need to figure something out when I get back home to get some salmon in the freezer, because they're pretty scarce around here at this moment. But yeah, I already did some halibut. I already got a bunch of halibut and cod in the freezer. So
How do you sequence it out? Because I find that salmon, you got to get, there's certain stuff I just eat or give away right away. Like a salmon, you either got to do something with it. Like in a year, it's not fun.
Nope. I like to have all that gone by next spring. And all this cod that we're getting, I mean, that's got to be gone in the next, 6 months is about the limit on that in your freezer. It gets all
doesn't do good in the
leathery.
freezer.
Yeah. But halibut, man, you can let that halibut sit for a couple of years and hardly tell the difference.
You know, I don't know if you remember the story. You and me were up here, and it was when I was staying in your guest house. And we were up here, and we were like bringing a bunch of halibut home. And we, for some reason, put it into a dry bag,
Yeah.
a rubberized dry bag. And then I don't know what the hell we did with it. Brought it home, all of our frozen halibut in a rubber dry bag in a cooler or something.
Back to Anchorage. You were in Anchorage?
To your house. Yeah.
Okay.
And time goes by, and your gear room just is so like you can't. It's one of those, like when you hear there's certain noises, like when you hear a turkey going, right, or when you hear a blue grouse doing his noise.
Yeah.
Like it's there, but you can't tell what direction. It was a smell that was like a turkey drumming. It's there, but you can't. It's hard to pinpoint the direction. And you just come in the house, and you'd be like, "What?"
Yeah, my gear room was also my boiler room, so it's really warm in there.
And we narrow in on it's something in the gear room.
Yeah,
and we systematically emptied out. I don't know if you remember this. We systematically emptied out the gear room.
Yeah.
No, couldn't figure out what had died in there. We thought something died in there. We didn't know what. Emptied out the gear room. Put everything back. The smell gets worse. The second time we do like a more thorough examination, realize that like in that rubber dry bag, when someone emptied out the rubber dry bag, they left one packet of halibut in that rubber dry bag. and that was the culprit. And so when you're searching the room, you just pick up a dry bag and it doesn't weigh
Yeah.
anything extra. That was a
Brutal.
nasty pack of halibut, man.
Speaking of noises, where you can't tell where they're coming from, we were over here fishing salmon yesterday,
Mm.
and there's like salmon jumping all over the place closer to the bank, back over there. So we kind of like slowly putt over there, shut the engine off, and you can hear a bear up in the woods snapping its jaws at us,
Oh,
just like popping them. You know, like the sound they make when they're popping their jaws, just up there popping its jaws like crazy.
That's cool.
Couldn't see it, but you could hear it, like that distinct sound.
yeah, because otherwise I would say in my year count blanket, another option here would be the year of no bears.
There's a sow with 2 cubs that's hanging out over here.
Oh, okay. Because they're not like running around trying to
No, in the spring, when we were here in the spring bear hunting, they were everywhere.
just because
You
they come to
couldn't-
the cove.
Yeah,
and
you
they
couldn't,
come to
you
cove and
couldn't
get away.
avoid them.
Yeah,
But-
they know it's a safe place.
Yeah.
No one's gonna get them.
There's a story I always tell about my kids being out flipping rocks and just playing in the intertidal zone out here. And I came out on, this is when they, well, yeah, I think we were getting a little break from the bears the last couple of years. It just seemed to be less abundant. But yeah, when they used to always be hanging around on the beach, I remember walking out on this porch and my kids were young, man, like maybe 3 and 5 or something like that. And they're out there playing in the flats. And I said, hey, you guys, just letting you know there's a bear behind you. And they didn't even turn around to look at it. They just kept doing what they were doing. Like they're just so used to it.
I got a picture of one of my kids on a rope swing.
Oh, that was I took that
you took
video.
that yeah, that was a video. Like
Yeah.
basically rope swinging like out over.
Yeah.
And I got another one of my older boy in his underwear shooting a slingshot at one. It's like up by the table there, you know.
Oh man, Matt Drost just gave me a photo that I did not know existed of me hitting a bear with a rock that was causing us some troubles.
Yeah.
All right, Matt. So your cut. Well, give me your most memorable. Dan, you got to do your most memorable thing from this year. How you'll remember the year.
Yeah, I guess that would be get peacock coming back. And that great day lingcod fishing with Fitz and Drost. You were on the
That was not.
no. Fitz, who was in the boat with us?
Your boy
Rosemary.
Rosemary.
Rose,
Yeah.
yep.
That's just the
Great day.
lingcod bite was just on,
Mhm.
and maybe I don't know if the tide was moving real good, and we just timed it right, and
Got a
yeah.
bunch of duskies, a bunch of silver grays.
yeah, that was some pretty intense fishing, man.
Yep.
That was great.
It was.
One of the things you learn over the years of going to fishing the same thing all the time is you learn like some general trends and rules and stuff. Like we've accumulated a ton of
Oh,
knowledge,
man, yeah.
you know? But you also learn that there's just things you can't explain. Like that. You remember one time, Seth, in the spring, we were on a particular feature over by where we set shrimp pots sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and drop down. It's like wham, wham, wham,
Oh,
wham,
silver
wham,
grays?
wham. Silver grays and duskies and
Yeah,
stuff. I've
like
been
big
back there
ones.
3 times since. Nothing happens. It's
Yeah.
like some current thing, some food thing, and you'll never replicate it.
Yep.
You know, and you can go out and I don't know, the moodiness of fish, man.
Yeah, another one of those changes was, more long term, was just the disappearance of those 20-arm starfish.
Mhm.
Every shrimp
Yeah.
pot used to have 1 or 2 of those
yeah.
in it,
Yep.
and then that blight came through, and all the sea stars died off. And I mean, I haven't seen one of those things in years. And I don't know if it's a coincidence or not, but then octopus got real abundant for a while, like right after the sea stars died off.
Yep.
And then, we had a few years where it wouldn't, I mean, most years I would say, in a week of hardcore shrimp and you might get an octopus. And then there was a year where we were getting like 1 or 2 a day
Yep.
or for a few years.
You remember Ron Layton? You'd pull every shrimp pot would have a bunch of those on it, in it, and Ron Layton would make you put them all in a bucket
Yeah.
so he could move them out of his shrimping
Yeah.
area. So
Yeah.
you were somehow
It's like
Make
that
it down.
fox. It's like moving like fox.
you're somehow gonna get them out of the area. It's like, I don't know. We saw 60 today. You think that's the only 60 down there?
But yeah, those things aren't around anymore.
Yep, that's another big, huge change that's
Yeah.
come over time.
And
No.
and then I don't know, the octopus seem, at least by from our trapping, less abundant in the last couple of years than they were.
Allie said he's getting octopus almost every day
Oh really?
Really?
where he's shrimping,
he cleans them or pitches them.
pitches them.
Oh, yeah. Does he do it because he thinks they're so smart, or because he doesn't want to deal with them?
Well, I when I was talking to him, I was like, oh, I love eating those things, and he's like, really? And I was like, yeah. He's like, well, if I get one, I'll bring it to you.
Huh. Okay, so not because they're so smart.
I think he just doesn't.
Because a lot of people quit because they're smart.
Yeah.
Everybody got hot onto that documentary about
the octopus teacher, whatever.
It's the best thing that ever happened to octopuses. But like I said, I've said it before. I don't know that everything else is that dumb.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Nobody's befriended a halibut yet.
If you went and hung out with a halibut, you might wind up not wanting to eat them either.
God, that guy's
He might be a substitute teacher.
My halibut sub teacher. So Matt, hit me with your most memorable for the year.
I was just trying to think. There's been so many. Like, I want to sum it up. It's just been a smooth year. Like mechanical, like weather-wise, unbelievable.
We got one mystery. One mechanical mystery is one of the motors not charging its battery, and it's not the charging fuse.
Yeah. But other than that,
it's minor.
Yeah, but the cod was it's crazy. I mean, the three of us were out, and there was a point where we had triple headers numerous times. You wouldn't put down without bringing up a fish, and that's just that's pretty amazing fishing.
Just steady this year. Usually it's like you got 1 or 2 days where you bring in 90% of the catch when your shit's just on, and this year it was just kind of every day was.
Well, we came in yesterday with 3 halibut and probably 10 cod, and we're like, meh.
Yeah.
I mean, any other year we'd have been, oh man, look what we got. Yeah. It was crazy.
There's a thing from up here we find is there's like a running joke that if someone's coming up.
Oh yeah, I know where this is going.
If you're coming up in a few days, the best thing you could hear is that the fishing sucks.
Yeah.
Before I came up, I didn't want to text anybody. I did not want to hear the fishing was good.
Because like the joke is if the fishing's good, in a couple of days it won't be, right? And so you want to make sure that right before, like 3 days before you show up, you want to hear that it's a miserable bite. Because then you're like, well, mathematically that means it's going to be hot when I get there. Because it comes in like days on, days off, days on. And it's not lunar. It's not a 30-day roll. It's it's like a smaller roll, and no one's been able to identify it. I think if we had over time been really meticulous about moon phase / tide swing, I don't know what all inputs would you put in there?
Wind,
barometer,
conditions,
wind conditions,
whatever. If we had made some kind of chart, and it could be as simple as like you fill in 5 or 6 variables, and then rate the day's fishing on a 1 to 10 or something. You might start putting together what it is, but it's not sun.
Nope.
And it ain't rain.
It ain't rain. No.
And it's not high wind, low wind. It's not all those things that you remember the day by. It's like it's like the things that it's the things you don't remember well, right?
Well, yesterday we had that day that we were fishing. We had that current was ripping, and then for like 5 minutes it stopped and everything was straight down, and then I hooked into something huge. It got off, and then it started ripping again, and it just changed everything.
It was a Leviathan.
Could have been
coming by. Yeah. Or an energy vortex.
That's what that was.
No, it's so much mystery. Oh, and then you guys, for the first time, another thing that like we always known was around. Who saw the salmon shark?
It was
last year. That was last year.
I've yet to lay eyes on one.
It was the classic kind of shark fin and the tip of the tail just kind of going by like Jaws.
Yeah.
It was probably 50 yards from the boat.
Yeah, we just kind of happened to turn around. We all saw it like just swimming by.
Yeah.
Oh, because it was heading towards you guys. And your dog was in the water.
Oh, yeah, we had a dog swimming in the water. She was all hot.
That's right.
Another thing about like freak deals, so seeing the salmon shark, like all that time, and then you look at, there was many, many years there was never a sea otter.
Oh, yeah.
15 years of no sea otters, and then now there's an occasional sea otter sighting. The neighbor was out one day, and they have like what in the world is that? And it was it looked like a several 100-pound oceanic sunfish.
Yeah.
Coming along the surface and just kind of went right under their boat. And then he took a cell phone video, and he took a cell phone video as it's going under the boat, and that fish just keeps coming and coming and coming and coming as it goes by under the boat.
I think that
never seen another one.
I think that was 2014 Marine Heat Wave That was that summer. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like the one-offs, the one-off weird things.
That's what I love about this place. It's like you never know what you're going to see up here.
Yeah. You never know what you're never going to see again.
Yeah. And every year it's like something different you see or catch or it's cool.
Andy, most memorable, whatever, commentary around.
Oh, you know where this is going.
Your new griddle?
The year I got my new griddle.
So if you were making a year count, your year count would be your giant griddle.
Just pancakes.
So,
Before griddle, after griddle.
Andy has assumed in our circle, how many years you been here?
16 straight.
16 straight years. Because he deals not only in food of exceptional quality, but he deals in food of exceptional quantity. And every year his gift to our friend circle is that he makes the shopping list, comes in the morning, turns on coffee at 6, makes a breakfast, like a good breakfast, facilitates the making of lunch, and then at night cooks, usually fresh seafood, sometimes stuff we bring from home, cooks everybody a huge high-quality dinner.
I just run through the list of meals we had.
Yeah.
Like
seafood we had, because the first night here we hadn't caught nothing yet, so we had marinara and meatballs left over from my birthday party. The bag of meat was left over from my birthday party. Chowder. No, you haven't done chowder yet.
Not yet.
Seafood enchiladas, cod, like fried cod with slaw,
curry, seafood
curry. What else?
King salmon.
We grilled some king salmon. That was
whole slabs of
dynamite.
king salmon on his new thing.
Yeah.
Did some tacos, fish tacos.
Anyways, he normally has the work in a ton of little pans set on a little stove.
Tiny
But
stove.
this year he bought a giant outdoor griddle, and now can just like
hang with us
my
outside.
life. The quality of life up here is just increased dramatically.
Yeah.
Because I can do it all at once.
Yeah. And you can hang out while you're doing it.
Yeah.
You're not sequestered to the kitchen.
Yeah. A lot of times I'm in here as the kids are getting a fire going on a 70-degree day. And I'm over 4 burners in an oven, and they're just dripping sweat. Now I can be outside hanging out. Yeah.
Yeah, you should have a picture of Andy standing over there, and he's got that kind of wide-eyed look on his face, just wiping his brow. It's so nice.
I was going to tell you guys this nothing to do with anything we're talking about, but you know how I keep wanting to tell people about this. You guys know what geocaches are?
Mm.
You know what? Everybody that does a geocache uses an ammo can.
Yeah.
Okay, it's like real common. Use an army ammo can for a geocache. So my kids have just found, not even using GPS, they somehow have found 2 geocaches. They found one near, when we hunt spring turkey in Wisconsin, we always go, Bubbly Doug always takes us to this cheese place down the road that makes cheese, Car Valley cheese. We go down there to get curds, and they're like running around the woods there, and they find an ammo can. And they open it up, it's full of all the garbage that's in a geocache thing, including a notepad. There's another spot where we camp. They just happen to find a geocache can. And they always putting junk in there and taking it out. So my little boy, has only ever seen an army can in context of a geocache. 2 times I have heard him accuse people of having stole a geocache box because they have in their possession an army ammo can. He took the geocache box. I'm like, no, man, those have always been around. No, it's a geocache box.
You got 100% certainty.
And then how do you handle your fish, Andy? What's your when you go home? Do you make the same things there?
The day-to-day, pull out fish and make it for myself. But, I tend to find myself in social situations with a lot of people looking to have a good time. And much like this place, I tend to find myself cooking a bunch. So I party with it,
Smoke some?
I should smoke some, party with some. No, I share it around for sure. I give a fair bit away too, because I do catch a little bit of fish where I'm at as well. So
when I
shortage.
go home, one of my first things when I go home is I give fish to my neighbors, meaning like the houses by my house.
Yeah. So anytime there's a big get together, it's pretty fun to be able to show up with a lot of fresh fish or fresh caught fish and share it around. That's kind of the best part. And tell the stories as you go.
Mhm.
But yeah, it lasts me the whole. Especially being up here for a couple weeks, you can come home with a fair bit. It'll last the whole year. I think I got a few packs left from last year that I'm just gonna get through right as I get home and maybe change the date and pass those out.
Let me tell you a hot tip. I don't date anything anymore. Because when you date it, people start being prejudiced against it.
Yeah.
Even when I'm out of town. So if I'm out of town, right, and someone at home, they're like, once you put the dates on there, they're wondering about it.
You're locked in, yeah.
They're like, oh, that's from. I don't put any date on anything, man. Yeah. When I look, I know when it's from, because I just be like, oh, that's from. Yeah. I know, but no one needs to know.
Sure.
And when I give someone a packet of something, I don't need them wondering about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like a piece of deer meat, I mean, this is a controversial statement. A piece of deer meat that's been saran wrapped and freezer paper wrapped and kept in a deep freeze for 2 years ain't no different than a piece of deer meat from 3 months. It just isn't.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not different. Now, we're not saying the same thing about a salmon.
I did find a limit on red meat, though. I came across a roast that had been in my freezer. I don't know how I missed it, man, because I'm really diligent about managing my freezer. But I found a piece of meat that was 5 years old.
Something had happened?
Yeah, I just lost track of it, No,
I mean something had happened to it.
Oh, yeah, man. So yeah, I did a foolproof roast recipe. I put some rub on it and I seared it in a pan and popped it in the oven until it was like 120 in the middle and pulled it out and let it cool and sliced it up and it looked great. But it like the muscle structure, it just like was mushy and it just didn't. It was gross.
5 years.
Okay. Yeah.
So what you should do is go in and label them 5 years later. Eat now.
Label from the future.
Yeah. One thing I do.
Eat by. Best of consumed by and mark it out 5 years.
4 years.
Yeah, because when you look at some old ass can that you found at your cabin, it doesn't say when they made it. It says when you should eat it by.
Yeah.
That's a new way to date.
Yeah. One thing I do when I'm unpacking too is any of the seals that have popped, I go back and reseal them.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, when you reseal a frozen piece of fish, that sucker gets tight.
Yeah, that's a good tip. When I get home, invariably you got bags that. I have a bunch of different theories. My latest theory is something about being in the cargo hold.
Oh, for sure, in the airplane.
The cargo hold in the airplane does something to back, like it ruins a lot of seals on back bags. I just cut it open. I cut the top off and stick the bag right into a bag and re-zap it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, you take.
I don't even get rid of the bag.
Same here.
So you reseal it in the bag.
Like if this was, let's say this was a vac bag, I would just go with a pair of scissors and slide it into a bag. And a lot of times the label shows right. You don't even need to relabel it.
Yeah, but you don't label it.
No, I'd label what it is.
Oh, right.
I want to know what it is. I still want to know when it's from. Names, but not dates.
Names, but not dates.
Yeah. This year with my cut, I'm going to do something that I tried a long time ago, but I tried it with some fish that had gotten skanky. Like I had some cod, a big cod from a million years ago. I had a big cod that got to the point where I was like, you know when you open it up.
Oh yeah.
You know when you open it up. Oh, another thing about long-term fish freezing, get the skin off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We've been pretty good about that.
Yeah. If you're not gonna eat it mega fresh, skin it.
Except for salmon.
Then you got to scrape it and wash it.
Yep.
You got to get the slime off.
Yep.
Like yesterday, I was
key.
flaying a king that Louisa caught, and you were saying scrape it.
Oh,
because I kind of forgot.
Helps a ton.
And you just scrape all that slime off. Then once you said it, I kind of took I scraped it and took my rubber glove and a hose and just washed him till he was like sand. You know what I mean? Almost kind of a lot of the scales came off. I was cleaning it so good to get all that slime off because we used to freeze halibut skin on, not scraped well. That's way to
We've gotten a lot better.
Yeah, it even turns brown like the meat. Yeah, it's not good.
Skank.
Yeah,
you gotta get that
cod's like
clean.
that too. Lingcod
Oh yeah,
Get
I
that
had some
orange.
lingcod get skanky last year.
gets that weird orange slimy stuff on it.
Yeah, it got real bad.
Yeah, it all starts here. You really have to scrape and wash those things because it transfers down the line for
Another
sure.
long-term freezing thing is on your shrimp. When you head them, you got to clean that.
Mm-hmm.
You got to clean that little that junction because I think when you tear it, it gets some kind of digestive fluid from the
It's
shrimp's
like a little,
body.
little orangey, yellow.
You got to wash
stuff,
that.
Yeah.
If not, you pull that shrimp out and that turns brown. That face. But the more you remember how long Ron Layton to make you wash them for?
Oh my
Yep.
God. Yeah, forever.
He's
Seems
right.
like you'd be out there like an hour washing shrimp. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Clockwise.
That's the wrong way.
Don't swirl it counterclockwise.
I know a lot of people that freeze them in water. Shrimp. We don't have that luxury here because you don't want to lug all that weight
Travel
back.
with it,
But actually vacuum seal them in, so they're just in a block of ice.
I can picture that.
And they hold up pretty good.
But TSA don't like that either. They
No,
don't want any kind of frozen
no.
water. Anyway, I tried this before. What I was trying to get to is salt cod. So I tried to make salt cod with a piece of cod that was already of questionable date. This year I'm going to go home immediately and make some. I'm going to go home immediately and take my cod and make a bunch of salt cod so that I can then do like the French salt cod preparation.
Yeah, that's an old. That's before refrigeration.
Yeah.
And
then but I used to order that like in restaurants in New York. I used to order the salt
like
cod.
a brandade or like it's kind of what is it like? Mix it with mashed potatoes.
Yep.
It was an old.
You bring it back. Yeah, you kind of bring it back to life and rehydrate it. So I'm gonna now that it's the year of the cod, I'm gonna try some salt cod.
Hey, I was gonna point out because I was gonna what I end up doing usually my catch, just how important like this whole process and trip is to like friends and everybody. Like I'm getting texts while I'm here, like, "How's the shrimp this year?" Because I
got bad news for you.
I know that's a bad one.
Do you like cod?
But yeah, just the idea, like it's definitely we host a ton of parties, and just it's all stuff from here.
It's known in the northern Michigan community how the fishing in Southeast is.
Yeah, exactly. they know because of this trip. So yeah, we do a lot of just hosting parties so it'll be good.
Well, I want to thank you guys for doing this, man. Goes without saying, and that's generally how in our circle, I think everything goes without saying. Just how much I have appreciated over all these years the way that you guys have been so faithful about coming up and hanging out.
Thanks for sharing it, man.
Yeah,
it's an
special
honor.
place.
It's an honor to be here every
It was
year.
one of the smartest things. One of the smartest dumb things we ever did was to buy a place and have like a little hangout. But it means so much that you guys come up all the time.
Oh man, and it's corny but true, man. The best part about this place is just the fellowship, just being with you all.
Oh yeah,
It's the best thing about it.
We make a joke about watching that float plane leave after we get here. Like, oh, okay, now the year starts. Here we are.
Yeah. Yep.
And we had a conversation yesterday about just how so many people on the outside, friends at home, always you kind of try to describe this place, but there's never a conversation that you can really express what happens up here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The day to day,
no one fully understands it.
Sitting down at dinner and
that
all three
experience,
boats are sharing stories about the one-offs and we saw this and just the camaraderie. You cannot explain this to people that have never experienced it. It just doesn't transfer to relate that kind of information.
Yep.
And the amount of work too.
Yeah.
Just the highs and lows of when we first got here. We're all right, first day out, and like 3 boats leave, and we didn't even get out of the cove. One boat's not spitting.
2
one
boats
boat's
died
battery's
before we
dead.
got out of here.
It's like, all right.
Oh, it's like highs and lows to the max.
Yeah.
Somebody's back at the shack cleaning up mink shit.
Yeah, we get instead of a mouse infestation, we get an annual mink infestation.
They're getting crafty too.
Yeah.
Well, I think we got it figured out. What's going on?
I cleaned up some stuff in here in the spring from that guy.
I think he went around the mink barrier. It's a whole long story.
It might be a pine. I think it's a pine marten.
Well, we've had
too.
pine marten too. Yeah, come in.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for
for
sharing
coming
this
on, man.
place.
Yep.
Thanks everybody. See you next time.
It was October, early morning dew. An old squirrel with an acorn buried for me and you. was a red-o. I watched him the whole time. He clutched it through the branches as I sat there in my blind. All we see is what time has brought. We're locked in, but he is not. The tree doesn't worry while it grows. The tiny paws to a mighty oak. What we need is open eyes to trust the story and get on with life. My mind it wanders, how much can it take? Teeth and rot and feet and frost until it terminates. But it'll happen. All it takes is time to trim her for my fire, make a barrel for my wine. All we see is what time has brought. We're locked in, but he is not. The tree doesn't worry while it grows. The tiny paws to a mighty oak. What we need is open eyes to trust the story and get on with She lends her fragrance as I cut into her rings. That's telling me a story that the cardinals all sing.